Coming up, a major setback in a high-profile Kentucky murder trial.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Another setback in a high-profile murder case where the daughter of an Eastern Kentucky native and former lawmaker was shot to death in his mansion. That violence happened back in February of 2022. Shannon Gilday was set to face a jury trial in May of this year. But as WYMT's Phil Pendleton explains, the trial was pushed back another year.
It has been almost 3 years since Jordan Morgan was murdered inside her father's home, and her family is still seeking justice.
You know, Jordan was laying in bed asleep and was shot 11 plus times while she was asleep. I mean, I can't think of anything so horrific.
Shannon Gilday was arrested a week later with police saying that he wanted to take over the home because it had a doomsday bunker. Middle evaluations took years to complete, but last May he was found competent to stand trial, and a trial date was set for this May, a death penalty hearing for Monday. Both were again delayed after new prosecuting attorneys were brought in.
I don't know what's going on there, but this will be, if it's continued today, the third time this hearing has been set.
The prosecution changed at my request, but I will not give you a reason for that. Should be easy to surmise, though.
Defense attorneys stated that they were ready for both the death penalty hearing to take place today and for the trial in May of this year. Morgan's family has not minced words that their anger the case has not gone to trial yet. Regardless of when it does finally take place, they want the death penalty.
What Gilday did justifies the sentence of death, even if he stays on death row for 30 years.
The death penalty hearing will now take place in May of this year, the trial in May of next year. In Madison County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The court has also given no reason for the new attorneys other than they are from the state attorney general's office. The 3 men arrested in connection to a murder in Pike County have been arraigned in Pike County District Court. Michael Brown, Anthony Browning, and Michael Shortridge were each arrested earlier this month, charged with the murder of Pike County man Chris Lester. Shortridge was arraigned last week, and his co-defendants in the case appeared virtually for their arraignments Monday. In addition to the murder charge, Brown and Browning each face a charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The 3 men are expected back in court next week.
At that point, the district judge will listen to evidence from the Commonwealth and determine if there's enough evidence to have it bound over to the grand jury.
The preliminary hearing for the men is set for February 6th at 1 p.m. Police are investigating an officer-involved shooting tonight in Elkhart, Indiana. It happened near the Martin's supermarket. Police say 2 officers were injured and 3 people, including the alleged suspect, are dead. The officers were taken to a local hospital and were in stable condition at last check. Police say there is no ongoing threat to the public and the scene is no longer active.
Those temperatures did get quite warm today, especially compared to what we saw last week. And we're slowly but surely getting continually warmer as we're heading into tomorrow and the rest of this week. Let's take a look at those observed highs. For today, we were in the upper 40s for most of the area. And take a look at Middlesboro, 50 degrees. Harlan hit 51 today. And again, tomorrow is just going to be warmer. Let's take a look at those highs tomorrow. And for the most part, we're looking at 50 degrees for a lot of cities in the region: Jackson, Manchester, Harlan, Middlesboro, Williamsburg, just to name a few. And for the cities not in the 50s, we're looking in the upper 40s. Now, the coolest parts of our region will be in the low 40s, and that is Wise, Moorhead, and Logan. Let's take a look at what you can expect tonight. We'll look at the low 30s, and as we're going into the next couple of hours following that, well, your Tuesday will be nice and sunny, hitting the high temperature around 4 p.m. Steve.
All right, Megan, thanks. State police say someone was flown to a trauma center after being hit by a vehicle. It happened this afternoon on Kentucky 1304 near Dozier Branch in Knox County. The pedestrian's name and condition has not been released. The Richland Fire Department and Knox EMS responded along with KSP. The National Park Service is looking for information about a recent theft that vandalized a historic building. It happened at Mill Springs Battlefield National Monument. Park staff recently discovered that wood siding had been removed from a historic barn that sits next to Highway 235 in Nancy. This particular act of vandalism and theft is considered a federal crime. Law enforcement is investigating. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Mill Springs Battlefield Administrative Office at 606-636-4045. Police at the University of Kentucky are investigating a report of a sexual assault on campus. UK police say it happened Friday, January 17th, inside the victim's room in a residence hall. UK police say the victim knows the two suspects and the investigation is underway. UK says anyone can report any incident of harassment or sexual assault to the school's Title IX coordinator. Many folks in Bell County are in mourning after a pillar in the community died after a hard-fought battle with cancer. Jailer Robin Venable dedicated his life to public service, working in law enforcement since 1988. Those who worked with him say he lit up every room he walked into. He's described as a kind, funny, and someone that was dedicated to both the community and his family. Bell County Attorney Chris Douglas shared a story that he says sums up who Venable was.
He was in church one Sunday morning. The preacher was telling me that he got up to give his sermon, and Robin was out there raising his hand, you know, before the preacher started talking. And the preacher was like, "Yes, Robin." And he says, "Do I have to wait till you get done, or can I get saved right now?" And the preacher, of course, let him come up, and he didn't have to give a sermon that day. And that's the way Robin really is.
In honor of Venable, flags outside county buildings were lowered to half-staff. Robin Venable was 59. Funeral arrangements have not yet been shared with us. Many folks across eastern Kentucky are still living without running water and have been for several days. The Harlan County Judge Executive declared a state of emergency, and we know of issues in several other counties, including here in Perry. Whitley County Maintenance Supervisor Mike O'Reilly says there have been numerous leaks throughout the south end of that county. While they've been able to find and repair most of them, there are still more that crews are working to find, which is why water has been shut off to the south end.
First, you got to find it, and it's not as easy as what everybody thinks. It don't always just squirt up out of the ground. I know we've had them shut off, but we had to do that to get water in our tanks, you know, for the city. You know, we couldn't just run out. Just bear with us. We're here to fix it. I mean, that's just what we do.
In Whitley County,
Riley says crews are continuing to work to find those leaks and help folks get back to normal. With temperatures now on the rise, there is a new concern for road safety. Rock slides are occurring as the warmer weather melts leftover ice. On Sunday night, there was a big rock slide on Highway 15 in Knox County. It happened at the intersection of Kentucky 160 and Carr Creek Lake. The rocks had the road blocked for a few hours. The freeze-thaw cycle is a common cause of rock slides. This is the repeating process of freezing and thawing, which loosens the rocks.
You know, we really don't know where these are going to happen. We just know they are going to happen. It's our area, it's the terrain, and we know that, you know, this cycle happens every year at this time.
Officials say there's no way to completely prevent rock slides. However, if you see fallen rock piles, debris, or even dust, you can call your local transportation department, and that could alert crews of potential risk areas. Along with falling rocks, those big icicles could also be a danger while driving. Icicles hanging from mountainsides are starting to melt and fall off onto the roadway. Large chunks of ice could potentially fall onto the road while you are driving. You should definitely use caution when driving around mountain cliffs with ice. And if you notice any hazardous areas, call your local road department.